welcome. I'm super excited to chat about these 5 different wounds and archetypes that show up in empath leaders. So this was inspired by a call I was just on earlier today for a group program I'm in, and the group was helping me dissect what are the main wounds that show up in empath leaders. And each person had a different story, and my story is different from their story. And so we just kind of categorize these into different archetypes that I think are going to be really helpful for you to help identify within yourself, and maybe part of what has been created as your identity, so that you become aware of that and then have the opportunity to shift out of that wound and into your more empowered and truly authentic, powerful self. So the first type I want to talk about is the codependent empath. And I actually recorded a podcast episode on this a couple weeks ago that comes out on Monday. So stay tuned. I really dive deep into especially just this overlap between codependency and being an empath. They actually coexist quite naturally, even though we may not want to see that part of ourselves. It happens quite often. And so let's talk about the codependent empath and how this wound can show up and what defines the traits and characteristics of this within potentially your life. And as I go through these 5 different types, I'd also love for you to comment below on which ones are resonating for you. So call yourself out, and that awareness is then the first step into shifting your identity. So the codependent empath is very interesting in that it's combining the traits of the empath and the codependent. Usually this is based in an unstable, unsafe, dysfunctional, one of those things, childhood or family dynamic when you were a child. And the codependent empath develops this ability to identify threats, and they're not necessarily your average everyday threat, like a tiger or a car coming at you or something. They're more emotional threats, meaning the person in the room that you must attune to and read the energy of in order to feel safe in your body. Oftentimes that was a parent that you felt like you had to attune your energy to and identify, even just like where they were emotionally so that you could adapt yourself to them. What that develops over time is a codependent relationship. And so in the codependent empath leader, we see this person always seeking approval and needing to be shown the next step versus being able to guide themselves more in the traditional leadership role of putting that first step out there, taking that first jump, that leap of faith. And instead, the codependent empath really wants to be shown the way. There's also a lot of caregiving behaviors and tendencies that can show up in the codependent empath leader because they are so used to putting, especially that person from childhood, first, but likely that's overflown into all relationships in their life where they're always putting other people first. And there's a resentment around that. It's a habit, it's an automatic behavior, but there's still a resentment around, why won't anyone take care of me? What about me? Don't I get my needs met, or don't I get help meeting my needs, or can't someone just show me the way? There's also a question oftentimes of deserving. Do I deserve this? Do I know enough? And instead, the codependent empath is always looking for that validation, that approval from outside of themselves because of that natural codependent nature. And that can really trip them up in starting a business, being an entrepreneur, being a health practitioner, nutrition practitioner, or coach in this wellness industry as a whole, because there's not always going to be somebody who says, yeah, you're doing it the right way, or I'll do it all for you, or just buy into my vision. That's the dependency. Just buy into my vision, my way, and that'll work for you, because that's not always true. So let me know if that resonates. The second type that I want to talk about, again, these were gathered in this group call this morning. It was so incredible to be able to just hear all these women. And the question was really like, what do you feel like is the wound that is holding you back most in your business or your leadership role? So I've labeled or identified this next one as the numb empath. The numb empath. And so this is the person who feels deeply. There's a like a dichotomy there of the archetype name being the numb empath, but the truth is they actually feel quite deeply, but they feel like people will judge them for how deeply they feel and how emotional they are, or how easily they're brought to tears, or how angered they are by something and they want to call it out and they want to talk about it, but there's an embarrassment or a fear of judgment around feeling so deeply. And oftentimes that's rooted in feeling like it's not safe to feel so deeply. I'm going to be too much and I cannot show my emotions online. Even a sense of like, that makes me weak. And the other root we can see here is that life has been really tough for this person. There's likely been a lot of trauma, and that they feel like they've had to, because of all of the trauma, all of the chaos, unsettledness in their life, they feel like they've had to close themselves off. And that's where the numbing comes in. I feel so much that I have to close myself off to the world. It's not safe to feel that deeply. And my emotions are something that I'm like more ashamed of than proud of, or that I utilize to inform my life. And so a lot of that's been shushed and hushed and shushed and really put into a box that's created this numbness. And you can see how the numb empath, therefore, would have a really hard time stepping into their highest, most divine leadership role, because they never feel like they can truly express their emotions. And your emotions are actually one of your greatest strengths and something that's so incredibly beautiful about you. The third type that came up on this call this morning was the overstimulated empath. And sometimes the overstimulated empath actually then becomes the numb empath, I would argue. But let's talk about it as its own archetype right now. The overstimulated empath is the person with an upregulated nervous system. What that means is that you're in a constant stress state. That stress sometimes is obvious. I'm really fucking stressed out. And other times that stress is more of a low-grade chronic level that is not as noticeable, but still certainly there. It's like your bucket is 75 to 80% full, and there's a feeling like when then something does happen in life, I'm always on the edge of burnout and potentially like exploding as well. Overstimulated empath has a really hard time getting calm and grounded, and tends to be up in the upper chakras, this like floaty, airy energy, and there's tons of ideas and inspiration. There's almost an overstimulation of that. You're like, I'm so glad I'm creative, but this is actually too much creativity because I'm not taking action. They have a really hard time taking action. And you as the overstimulated empath, get stuck in indecision. In the middle of the road, you just camp out, set up camp, and there's that challenge of feeling grounded enough to move forward. And therefore, there's a huge lack of confidence as well. So the overstimulated empath really needs a stable footing, a stable ground and foundation in which to build on. They need to down-regulate the nervous system. In leadership, we can see this as majorly holding someone back, because if they are always stuck in indecision, they're not taking action. And if they're always upregulated in a stress state, they're going to be burning out. And if they're never getting calm and grounded, they're never going to be able to stand in their true power and be able to have the impact that they desire to have on the world. Let me know if any of that resonates. Let's go on to number 4, the supernatural empath. supernatural. I almost called this one the weird empath because I feel like that is a close sister to it. And really, I'm describing the same thing. And this is the person, there was a woman on this call this morning that said this. She said, there's always been this fear of like this internal dialogue that said, I'm such an embarrassment. I'm an embarrassment to my family. Like, I am weird. There's parts of me that at least society has labeled weird, that are actually probably just unique things about you, or special things about you, or superpowers within you, but that you have perceived as this is different and not in a good way. And sometimes that is quite literally like your spirituality, your inner woo, your third eye intuition that is so like jacked up as far as the intensity of it inside the empath's third eye. And that might be something that you feel like that's not regularly accepted by people, or that's different, or some people think that's really out there, or that you're not supposed to be that way, or it goes against their religion or something. So the supernatural empath has this fear of embarrassment, this feeling like they won't be accepted for who they are, and this internal dialogue that just is full of self-doubt. Self-criticism, self-doubt. I should be more like that person. So then what we see in this person is that they often swing to the whole opposite side of the spectrum. And instead of owning their weirdness, their uniqueness, what makes them different, they instead swing to the complete opposite side, which is perfection. And the internal dialogue becomes, I should just fit into the crowd. Don't rock the boat. Try to be more like her, look like her, sound like her, act like her, have programs like her, have a website like hers, have a bio like hers, and that will make me successful. When in fact, when you try to copy someone else's energy, that's never going to lead to success, because it's not your energetic blueprint. It's just a clone of somebody else's energetic blueprint. But what has likely happened in the past for the supernatural empath is that they've been rewarded for fitting in and for assimilating to the crowd and becoming a sheep in the herd of people, versus being rewarded for being themselves and for being different or having maybe unique interests. So it's very entrained within the subconscious that when I do this, I get rewarded, so I should do it more that way, be like them, versus own my weirdness, my eccentricness, the things that make me stand out and make me beautiful, but they're not, again, perceived that way. They're not perceived as beautiful for the supernatural empath. And lastly, the sacrificing empath. This is the empath that has people-pleasing tendencies and therefore self-sacrifices. They don't put themselves first. There's no boundaries. This saying came up on the call I was on earlier, which is love has no boundaries. But maybe it should, right? Actually, my love has a lot of boundaries of what I feel is okay with me, what is not okay with me, what is respectful, what is disrespectful, and what I allow into my energetic bubble versus what I do not allow into my energetic bubble. So the sacrificing empath, especially as an entrepreneur, is going to have really low rates. We see this in the codependent empath too, because there's similar people-pleasing tendencies. There's lowering rates, discounting rates, sacrificing what they want for what their community wants, sacrificing their time and their energy and their health and their overall well-being and their relationships in order to feel like they're enough. And likely they feel like their needs aren't important, or they've been taught or shown that their needs aren't important by somebody in their life, somebody else in their life, especially when they're younger. And so they've learned and developed this pattern of, I should fit the mold of what that person wants me to be. Another nuance here to the sacrificing empath is that they're often scared of their own power, because it feels safer to just stay put. Let me sacrifice. That is safer than really becoming my true self and stepping into my full power, like unleashing that power within. because it feels so unfamiliar, because the pattern has always been please, 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 sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice for other people. So when you start to feel the inkling and the just a little blip of your power come in, it's like, ooh, that's uncomfortable. I'm actually more afraid of success and power than I am potentially of failure and the other side of the spectrum. So the blips of power that this person feels, that actually might overstimulate or upregulate their nervous system and stress them out versus be empowering and go, ooh, yeah, I got this power. I got this superpower magic. And when they start to feel that, they run away, they back away because it's unfamiliar and it's uncomfortable. And as human beings, we resist change. So Empath Leaders membership is here for the purpose of challenging these archetypes within you. So I want to know now, I'm going to summarize what these 5 different wounds are, and I want you to post below which one resonates with you the most, or maybe several resonate with you. So there's the codependent empath. Again, there's a podcast episode coming out about this one on Monday. There's the numb empath, the overstimulated empath, the supernatural empath, and the sacrificing empath. And these all hold us back from stepping into the empath leader role that is embodied and powerful and confident in a change maker, a world changer, a disruptor to society in a way that allows for this new paradigm on new earth to be birthed. They are the healers of the world. There is a lot of giving, but it's a balanced giving. It's a balanced dynamic between the masculine and the feminine energy. The membership emphasizes embodied feminine leadership because most of the people who come to me are wrapped up in what they perceive to be the way, which is more of a masculine, patriarchal leadership style that we see in society. So again, Empath Leaders is here to challenge these wounds, challenge the archetype, challenge the subconscious programming and beliefs and behaviors and patterns that you have in your life or you're living out still in your life. And then there's an invitation to shift your identity at a very core level. So it's not something you have to keep doing over and over and over again. Instead, we see the shift, and that shift is a catalyst for massive change in your life, in your business, in your success, in your finances, and especially in the impact that you have on others and your role as a role model in your leadership as a whole as well. I'm here because I know you want to have an impact on the world. I know you want to be of service, and I know so many of you are in your own way. You have a lot of confusion, a lot of indecision, and a lack of confidence, quite frankly. And I'm here to help you challenge those archetypes, shift the identity so that doesn't have to be your reality anymore. Yeah, we'll talk about strategy and there's business coaching calls every month, but the emphasis is on core change in your life. And we also do that through breath work and healing sessions. The healing sessions are a wide range of things, varying from hypnosis to inner child reprogramming and work, to EFT tapping, to transformational journaling exercises. And when you join, you also get access to the first 3 months. So you really get 4 months of content for $111 damn dollars. This is crazy. I'm probably going to double the price of this investment next round. I haven't said that out loud yet to you guys publicly. But the return on your investment is crazy. And we're going to continue to add more and more support as the community grows as well. So there might be 2 breathwork sessions a month in the near future. So the doors close today, and the investment may never be 111 again. I'm not sure yet. I don't know, because I go with the flow and I trust my intuition in my business and in this process. But I just want to share that because the value of what you receive inside is life-changing. And it feels silly to me to even like put a price tag on that, but there needs to be some exchange of energy. And so there is a price point to it because this is a business that I run. But really it's about like life-changing moments. Not for me to just regurgitate information, and I don't lecture inside of this membership. It's not like, hey, this month's theme is this, and here's your 5 videos on this topic. No, not at all. It is highly experiential. It is about being and embodying and experiencing and transforming and quantum shifts. It's not about sitting and listening to a lecture to gain more information or knowledge. It's about being the leader. And I just take you through experiences to help you embody that. Highly, highly experiential. If you have any questions about it, please let me know. Otherwise, again, you have until the end of the night to join at the current rate of $111 a month. There is also a yearly investment, and that saves you about 3 months worth. So you can get 3 months for free if you want to invest for the full year. We've had a few people do that already, and I'm just super excited. When somebody signs up for a year, I celebrate so hard because I'm like, this person is going to be in a container with me for 12 freaking months. And so much is going to change for them in 12 freaking months. It's also this like energetic commitment of I'm committing to myself in my inner work by joining the Empath Leaders membership for 12 months. And that's a big energy exchange even within yourself as well. It's so fucking beautiful. Okay, that's all. Let me know below which of those 5 wounds you identify with, and I'm here to help you. So please say yes. Take the support. Practice receiving in your life, and I'll see you inside.